It's complicated. I was in a bar in Austin with my wife, and it was during COVID, and a woman came to our table, and she was maskless. And this bitch came over, no mask, all H words. Hi, how are you? Droplets was coming out of this bitch's face. We all covered our drinks. Oh, bitch, what are you doing? Now, I looked over at the table that she came from, and I peeped game. The men at the table were filming me. This happens when you're famous. People will come over and try to rattle your cage and get you to say something stupid or dumb so that their buddies can film it and they get a video of you embarrassing yourself. And clearly, I said, this is what's happening. And these dumb motherfuckers thought that it was my first rodeo. Sadly, it worked. I ran right over there. I said, I pointed right in the camera. I said, you's a bitch-ass nigga for doing this to me. And the dude was shocked that I said it. He said, oh. And when he did like this, I seen all his fingernails was painted, and I realized, like, uh-oh. This fella's gay. Now, you know how I talk. I call everybody a bitch-ass nigga, you know what I mean? But that's not a right thing to do if they're gay, you know what I mean? And now I was in trouble. And not only that, the motherfucker was huge. He stood up. He was towering over me. He must have been 6'5", a big, white, corn-fed, Texas homosexual. This nigga was ready to fight. And he started barking on me, but I stood my ground. I wasn't scared. How could I be scared? This motherfucker's shirt was tied up in a knot like this. Oh, fuck this guy. Let's go, nigga, let's go. I thought we were gonna come to blows. I was ready, And then, right when you think we would fight, guess what he did? He picked up his phone and he called the police. And this thing I'm describing is a major issue that I have with that community. Gay people are minorities until they need to be white again. I'm being very brutally honest so we can solve this problem. I'm telling you right now, a black gay person would have never done that to me. Because a black gay person knows when the police shows up, they're not gonna care who called them. They don't show up like, which one of you niggers is Clifford? We're all Clifford. This happens far too often. And now we get to the core of the crisis. What is a woman? What is that in this day and time? Is there even such thing as a woman or a man or anything? Seems to be a question nowadays. Now listen, women get mad at me. Gay people get mad at me, lesbians get mad at me, but I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is true, these transgenders, these niggas want me dead. I've gone too far, I've said too much. And I gotta tell you, I'm very worried about it, I'm not even joking. Every time I come out on stage, I be scared. I be looking around the crowd, searching for knuckles and Adam's apples to see where the threats might be coming from. Oh. A nigga came up to me on the street the other day. He said, careful, Dave, they after you. I said, what? One they or many theys? Before I even say anything about that community, you must know, and I hope you all feel the same way, I am not indifferent to the suffering of someone else. There's laws, the mean laws in our country. North Carolina passed a law once that said a person in North Carolina must use the restroom that corresponds with the gender they were assigned on their birth certificate. No, 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 no. No, that's not a good law. That's a mean law. No American should have to present a birth certificate to take a shit at Walmart in Greensboro, North Carolina, where the baby shot and killed a motherfucker. You have to ask yourself, if you're thinking about it, who are these laws designed to protect? Like, let's say they designed this law to protect me, my interests. Transphobic comedian Dave Chappelle. And let's say that I'm in Walmart doing a little shopping with my family. Now, I should tell you, if that ever happens in real life, you should know that my dreams didn't work out. But let's say something goes horribly wrong, and there I am in Walmart with the poor whites rummaging around for mediocre goods and services. And then I gotta go to the restroom. So I excuse myself from my family. I go to the men's room. Now I'm standing at the urinal taking a leak. And this is what this law is gonna do. And suddenly, a woman walks into the men's room. I'm gonna be like, that's strange. And then she stands shoulder to shoulder with me at the urinal. I'm gonna be like, bitch, what's going on with you? And then she hikes her skirt up and pulls a real live, meaty dick out. And what do you think I'm gonna say? Thank God she's in here with me. At least now I know my family's safe. No, I'm not gonna feel that way at all. I'm gonna feel very uncomfortable. I would feel better if it was a man with a vagina that backed up to the urinal next to me. I wouldn't even think about that. I'd just be like, that's funny. This guy is peeing out of his butt for some reason. Oh my God, he must be a veteran. Thank you for your service. I'm not indifferent to people suffering because I know it's hard to be everybody. We blacks, we just got our first big holiday in a long time. Happy belated Juneteenth to the blacks. Juneteenth is a strange holiday, isn't it? It commemorates when black people in Texarkana area of the country first found out they were free. But remember, they were free when they found out. They just didn't know it yet. Very, very interesting holiday. You know, I learned something. This is a wild story. I learned this past Juneteenth of a story that's true, and there was a black man who was in South Carolina during slavery who somehow got granted his freedom by his so-called master. And when his master granted him the freedom, he also gave him a plot of land. Now, it turns out this brother was brilliant. He had a good eye, a good knack for farming, and he farmed this plot of land very successfully and made a lot of money. And this is where the story gets crazy. When he got all that money, this nigga bought some slaves. You ever heard this before? This is a true story. Not only was he a slave owner, he became a slave breeder and employed tactics that were so cruel, even white slave owners were like, yo, my man. He was a wild dude, but he did it just because that's what successful people did at the time, and he just wanted to be down. What a fucking tragedy. How can a person that went through slavery perpetrate the same evil on a person that looks just like him? It's mind-blowing. And, shockingly, they're making a movie about him. Ironically, it's called Space Juice. Space Juice. The point of that story is this person was invested in a construct. That was the construct of successful people, and he just followed the roadmap of successful people. He followed what they call an incentive. Now, everyone struggles, but I'm very invested in the gender construct, personally, because I'm a man with kids and a wife, and I like that warm, wet, soft pussy that my wife has. This does not mean that I feel like another point of view. Funny till it happens to you. 3 months, a mere 3 months after that terrible attack that Chris Rock endured, I was on stage at the Hollywood Bowl, and a lunatic jumped out of the crowd and attacked me. Now, I gotta tell you, if it happens to you, you don't even know what the fuck is happening. It was like slow motion. I just looked over. I don't know this nigga. And I was looking and said, oh my God, I'm being attacked. And this motherfucker was ragged. He jumped at me. He was like, I'm old, but I'm fast. I caught this motherfucker's head with my hand and pulled his hoodie over his eyes. I can still feel his head in my hand. It was spongy. He had been growing dreadlocks. Not the beautiful dreads that Rastafarians grow. These were accidental LA homeless dreads. This shit had leaves and sticks and bottle caps and shit in it, some kind of grease. I was like, ugh, like this, and then I fell down. And he knocked me all the way on the ground. And I was like, man, this is a bad situation. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna die or what's gonna happen. But in that moment of vulnerability, you know what occurred to me that had never occurred to me before in my life? In that moment, it occurred to me that bodyguards should not wear dress shoes to work. Travis. This nigga Travis came out slipping and sliding on some kind of beautiful loafer and fell flat on his back. Pop. I said, oh my God. Now both of us are down. I gotta handle this shit myself. So I popped right back, boom. And then the kid that knocked me down, he popped up, boom, and we looked at each other and realized, at the same time, I was bigger than him. And that motherfucker took off running. And I started to chase him, and I said, fuck him. I picked the microphone up. So I'm gonna finish this show now. That's right. For 3 months before that, I'd been making fun of Chris Rock. And people would ask me all the time. They'd say, Dave, what would you do if you were Chris Rock and Will Smith slapped you in the face? And to this day, the answer is the same. Well, I don't know what I would have done. I've never been in a situation that extreme. But I do know now what Will Smith would not have done. And that is enjoy the rest of his evening. Man, listen. We gave that kid a good while. We was whooping his ass. Not we, I mean, I was on stage trying to think of a joke to tell, but they was beating this nigga up right behind me. Everybody could see it. Everybody could see it. And I'm sitting up there trying to think of what to say. And I'm tongue-tied. Me, of all people, can't think of anything to say. Look at my karma. Just that moment. Of all the people in the world, Chris Rock walks from backstage, walks up to me in front of 20,000 people, grabs the mic out of my hands and looks at the crowd and goes, was that Will Smith? Man, motherfuckers fell out of their chairs laughing. I was standing there looking stupid. I was fucking furious, because I'm thinking in my mind, nigga, this is my attack. You got attacked 3 months ago. Now you have jokes. So I snatched the mic back from Chris and tried to get one off, but my shit did not go good at all. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, it was a trans man. And the crowd was like, boo. It's LA, we like trans people, boo. I know, I felt so bad. I felt so bad. But I know why I did it. You'd have to be there to understand, but man, when that guy tackled me, it was like it's like a movie or something. You got to picture this. Picture a famous person you like. Every famous person you could imagine was at that show. It was like the biggest night that Hollywood had ever seen. And when that guy tackled me, he cleared the bleachers. I had to watch the tape afterwards to know this happened, but as soon as he tackled me, Jamie Foxx was the first motherfucker that jumped out of the crowd. He was wearing a white cowboy hat like he knew this shit was gonna happen to him. Never seen this nigga in a cowboy hat before. And Jamie started chasing that motherfucker around like any given Sunday. And that kid was fast as shit, was juking and shaking, and it broke Jamie's ankles, and he just kept running. And then Jon Stewart from The Daily Show ran from backstage and jumped at this motherfucker like Super Jew. He was like, ah! And the kid seen Jon coming, so he jumped back, and Jon went flying that way. And this kid was fast, and then he turned around. He sees the emergency exit. He starts running for the emergency exit. Just before he got to the door, motherfucking Puff Daddy from Bad Boy Records jumped in front of the door. That nigga was like, Boy, Puffy got that motherfucker. And then every celebrity just ran out because every celebrity saw themselves in me, and they just started beating the fuck out of that kid. And I know Chris was backstage looking like, nobody helped me. Everybody hates Chris. You read, but the kid, while we was beating on him, reached in his waistband, pulled out a .22 caliber pistol. That shit was mayhem. Everybody started screaming, oh my God, he's got a gun. He's got a gun. And then I got scared. I was in the back, but I was scared because I knew that everybody that was with me was armed. Yes, if they had shot and killed this kid on stage at the Hollywood Bowl, like I pay you to do, Travis, but Travis G'd up. Travis wrestled the gun out of the kid's hand, and then he took it like this and tried to change. You like that, don't you? Okay. Before I did Killing Them Softly, when I was 22, HBO gave me the biggest opportunity of my life at that time. They gave me a half-hour special, but this shit was not like a special, you know what I mean? It was like, it was generic. It didn't even have a title. It was just Dave Chappelle. And I shot it in San Francisco at a place called Broadway Studios, which is on the second floor of a building. And beneath Broadway Studios is a nightclub. And the special was only supposed to be 30 minutes. And I got ready, I practiced, I did all the shit I was supposed to do. And the night that I taped, 20 minutes into my 30-minute set, I'll never forget this, music started blasting from the nightclub underneath. You could hear it real loud, and it fucked my whole show up, and I was devastated. I was a young man. I really believed in what I was doing, and I thought that my dream had been killed. So when I got off stage, I ran down the steps to the alley behind Broadway Studios and where the control trucks are parked, and I kicked that motherfucking door open, and I started yelling at all the producers. I was nobody in show business, just a guy that believed in us. I said, man, you fucked everything up. That fucking music, what the fuck were you thinking? And there was a guy who was a big-time producer, I ain't saying no names, and he stood up, and he said, hey, kid, sit the fuck down. He said, we didn't ruin anything. He said, we made a deal with that nightclub to not play music, and they didn't honor the deal. And I said, who didn't honor the deal? And he pointed to a guy. I'll never forget it. It was an old white man sitting in the Ford Taurus by himself. And he said, that guy right there. And I didn't waste no time or ask no questions. I went to that Ford Taurus and I beat on that window and I said, open the door, motherfucker, I want to talk to you. And that old man looked at me for 1 second and wisely drove the fuck off. And left me in the alley cussing at anybody who would listen. And 2 minutes later, literally 120 seconds later, couldn't have been any more than that, the doors of the kitchen in the alley of that nightclub underneath Broadway Studios flung open. And that old man was standing there, that same old man with reinforcements. He had 2 big goons with him, and he looked at me, and he was calm as a cucumber. He said, "You, come here. I want to talk to you." I didn't know anything about the streets at this age. But I found out later in my life that these men were Russian mobsters. And I don't know what you guys know about the Russian mob, but these are the niggas that killed Denzel in Training Day. And all the producers knew what I was up against. They said, "Dave, do not go in there." And I said, "Fuck y'all." And I walked right into that kitchen, and they closed the doors behind me, and it got dark as fuck in there. And I knew, I'm not dumb, I knew I was in a bad situation. But you have to understand, I believed in what I was doing, and I didn't give a fuck. Just kept cussing at these motherfuckers, telling them how they ruined my life. And that old man couldn't believe that I was talking all this shit. And as soon as I took a breath, he stopped me gently. He said, "Hey, kid, listen. Your friends lied to you." He said, "We made a deal, but your friends never paid me." And when he said that, I realized I was locked in a kitchen. I realized he was telling the truth, which would make me wrong. And the very moment that I realized I was wrong, for the first time, I was afraid. You see, it's a funny thing if you believe you're absolutely right. You can get drunk off the feeling of how right you are. That's why gay people are so mean. But I didn't buckle. You guys would have been very proud of me. I was scared, but I didn't buckle. I said, "Well then, sir, I owe you an apology. But I believe that no matter what reason that music was playing, it ruined my life." And that old man looked at me with sympathy in his eyes. And he walked over to me and he gently placed his hand on my cheek, which I gotta tell you, is a very emasculating thing to do. I was standing there looking at this nigga's hand on my cheek like, and he said, "On my cheek, real soft."